with the cross, which is El Greco's revision of Christ carrying the cross and looking kind of very burdened and suffering under the weight of it, which was the convention of the time, and he turns it into something totally inspirational and visionary. And the miniature portrait of a man in the case over there, which is one of probably 3 miniatures that are supposedly by El Greco, and this one certainly is. And then most of the other works in the room are really mature, around 1600 or even a bit later, until his death in 1614. And as Keith mentioned, the Cardinal, which is, if you look at, for example, the possible self-portrait of El Greco to its right, the naturalistic portrait of a man, and so many of El Greco's portraits of people he knew were quite naturalistic. And this picture is amazing for its insistence on character and its suggestion of the man's office. He is the Inquisitor General of Spain, and he's probably not a lot of fun if you're a Protestant or a Jew or a rather lapsed Catholic. It's long been suggested that the 2 hands read something into the decision-making process, like what you want to go free, well, the claw says no, I don't think so, and the more Van Dykean hand seems to be a bit more relaxed. And the composition itself is tense, as if the pressure of the job or decision-making or this man's dedication to doctrine is conveyed by that. The imbalance of the 2 styles of background, the brocade fabric, it's not Spanish leather, and the paneling next to it. And of course that checkerboard floor, which seems to be at a tilt, and the dark shadows under the robe, which almost make the figure in the chair seem to levitate, and the robes flutter in the breeze. So it's really quite extraordinary how he learns this from Titian, who did this kind of insistence on character in a much more naturalistic way, but then recalls things like Byzantine figures of Christ in the dome of a Greek church, for example, and can convey that sense of thought and character so strongly. We see it also in the figures of St. Jerome in 2 guises. St. Jerome as a cardinal from the Lehman collection, and there's a very similar picture, both of them autograph works in the Frick collection. The Frick has 3 paintings, including a full-length portrait of the Roman period. And you see St. Jerome in a completely different guise, as a penitent across the room in the painting from the Hispanic Society. I think the one as a cardinal and as a learned scholar would have been the one that appealed to most of El Greco's clients in Toledo, who again were frequently very learned churchmen. And rather like the cardinal is a portrait of a character and an office, the view of Toledo is really, in a sense, a symbol of Toledo, a kind of ideal cityscape that conveys what the city is by showing the royal palace and the tower of the Keep Cathedral in a bit less than half the town, a Roman bridge, which is in the deep gorge below a medieval castle, which was built right after the reconquest of Spain in the 1200s by Christian forces over the Moors. So there are these individual monuments which summarize the past of Toledo, and in the topography, perhaps in the drama of the sky, in the surprisingly green landscape around it, which is not the case in Spain or Toledo, he suggests prosperity and history, the essence of the city, rather than a naturalistic kind of topography. And then I think finally the altarpieces speak for themselves, especially the 2 late paintings of the Adoration, and I think it's better in those cases if you just stand in front of them and see what El Greco has done with this night scene and the light that radiates from the child. In this period, light was often used in the sense of revelation, and it is rarely as expressed